It's been over a year now since the first chapter of Ruri Dragon came out in Weekly Shonen Jump for all of us to be able to see this beloved series. And if you look up this series on Viz Media's site, it literally says the series is currently on hiatus. And for those that are completely unaware of the events that's taken place, or if you want a reminder or refresh on everything, Ruri Dragon has been on hiatus for almost a year now because of the author's health. Now, we never got full-on confirmation, like, on everything that happened, but it's probably a mixture of a lot of things. To the author's health, maybe pre-existing conditions, to probably the workload of just having to do a weekly, series in Weekly Shonen Jump, to just being new to just Weekly Shonen Jump and the pressure of it because of all the big names like One Piece, and also having My Hero Academia, to Black Clover, to all these different, series within the magazine that you have to compete with. It's incredibly difficult, and it could definitely be just stressful from that alone. But then you also have to factor in that, there is just so much other things that can happen behind the scenes that we're completely unaware of because we just don't know unless we're actually working there. So there's a lot of things that probably happened to Shindo Masaki, which was the author of Ruri Dragon. But the thing is that the series is on indefinite hiatus, and the last thing that we really got of this series in terms of, like, information was this post on the official account of, the author of Ruri Dragon, posted in February, on February 1st, a few months ago, saying that slowly but surely progress is being made. And so basically, there is still work happening for Ruri Dragon, but at this point in time, there is still no confirmation when it's going to return. For all we know, it might eventually switch magazines, like, because of just how long it's taking for it to come back, it might go into, like, Jump Square or a completely different magazine. It's highly possible because of whatever is going on with the author's health. But I was thinking about this series the other day, and I was just like, man, I really miss Ruri Dragon, because it really was just a unique series in of its own. If you have not actually read these 6 chapters of Ruri Dragon, I highly recommend you do. It is a very special manga that honestly does something very different that is not currently in Weekly Shonen Jump. Not to say that we haven't seen something like Ruri Dragon in the past with other manga that's been out, in Japan in different magazines, but at least in the current space of Weekly Shonen Jump, Ruri Dragon definitely fit a niche that was just missing. It was something that was missing within the magazine, and having this girl that's, just awakening to powers and all that of being a dragon, and not necessarily being a battle shonen, not necessarily being a romance story, but just being about a girl that is discovering herself and, realizing who she really is and what her family is really capable of. It's a very engaging first chapter and first 6 chapters, which was able to be compiled into one volume, thankfully enough, but it's still legitimately sad that we've been just left up in the air, in the dark, so to speak, since, this chapter came out. This was literally the last thing we saw of Ruri Dragon, and then that was it. This was the last panel. And don't get me wrong, I think everybody can agree that we're willing to wait for the author's return. Shindo Masaki is obviously very gifted, because if there is one thing that I have seen over this past year since the hiatus, is that there has been overwhelming support given to the author and the overall series, and it's definitely boosted a lot in popularity. When I saw this series go on indefinite hiatus back in July of last year, I assumed that it was probably going to die. Like, I was under the impression that there's just no way this series is going to be able to continue because of it. And it's not that I wanted it to be like that, it's just like, with all the problems and with how rough Weekly Shonen Jump can be, I was under the impression that it probably wouldn't make it far. But I think thanks to a lot of things, the right time, the right place, and how the overall, just the series was, and how the author's health issues resonated with people that were reading Weekly Shonen Jump, it caused the popularity of Ruri Dragon to really, boost a lot. And I mean, it's gotten a lot of awards, a lot of people have bought the first volume, it sold very well. The first volume sales was incredible. I don't have them in front of the screen right now, but literally the sales were really good for Ruri Dragon. It was not something that did poorly for its first volume, it was actually very impressive. So when I think it does return, there will definitely be a following, a cult following, so to speak. I think there's a lot of people that are patiently awaiting and looking forward to Ruri Dragon's return, and that's why I wanted to make a video on this, because I love this series and what it was trying to do, and I hope that people don't forget about this, because there's probably a lot of those right now that clicked on this video and completely forgot that Ruri Dragon existed, because it is something that wasn't canceled. It's still alive, so to speak. It's on life support, so to speak. And so hopefully sooner or later we do get a continuation, because I do think that this series deserves it, and I think that it will definitely have a place in Weekly Shonen Jump when it finally does come back. But I wanted to bring this up because, like, the 1-year anniversary of its hiatus is quickly coming, which is sad because the last time I've seen a series do something like this in Weekly Shonen Jump was Hunter x Hunter. So to see this happening to another manga, it's just like, I wonder how the course of this series is really going to be for the future of it when it does return. But I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to talk about this because I was just thinking about it, and I was just, like, getting a little bit sad, but I also want to remind people that this series existed for the overall hype for it does not dwindle or completely become non-existent. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do leave me a like. It does help me out a lot. And tell me your thoughts on Ruri Dragon if you enjoy it. And if you haven't read it yet, I do recommend you to read it. It is very good. Even though there's only, 6 chapters currently, I do still recommend you to read it. It's really, really good. But be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.